Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Haltech Heroes. Today, we're here on location at Sydney Dragway for the Haltech Grudge Kings event. We've pulled Dale Hillier aside so we can take a look over his Commodore that he's recently repowered. So Dale, thanks for taking the time out with it to show us over the car today. Mate, the last time I saw this, it was looking very different. It wasn't anywhere near as serious. Well, it was pretty serious anyway. It did have a single monstrous turbo.
Yeah, it had a 118mm single precision turbo on it.
And what motor did it use to get, like how long ago was that?
It was about 12 months back.
Right.
And it had a 427 LSX. So we took that motor out and it's now in Nathan's RX3.
So the small cube engines come out, if we can call it that.
Yep.
We've gone to the big cube. Really roughly for us in Australia, about how many litres is this thing?
It's around 9 litres.
All right, so
couldn't work it out exactly, but
around 9 litres. One of the other most notable things, you've gone from your 118mm single.
Yep.
You got twins now?
Yep.
What are these?
94mm Garretts. So.
All right, so we've got about 9 litres, twin 94mm Garretts.
Yep.
So topping this thing is the Billet intake manifold. This is one of the nicest manifolds I've seen on any of these cars. Can you tell me a bit about this? More to do with how the air's getting in and through this thing.
Yep, so it's a Plazaman Billet inlet manifold. It's got twin 3.5-inch air inlets,
right,
and it goes into a 5.25-inch throttle body.
So this part here, this is the throttle body across the front here?
Yep, correct. So it's got a oval butterfly. It's about 5.25-inch oval. It's big.
And it's made it so easy to get from a twin turbo setup in through this sort of adapter. You're planning on stuffing up to 70 or 80 pounds of boost through a big block. I can see it's got Plazaman fuel rails on it. What sort of injectors are we running in here?
So it's got 16 precision 550 pound an hour injectors. So they're roughly about 6,000 cc an injector.
So 2 times 6,000 cc's per cylinder.
Yep.
Geez, that's a lot of fuel.
Yep.
What sort of fuel pump have you got to keep fuel behind all those injectors?
So it's got an Enderley 1200. It's about 19.5 gallons per minute. So it's fairly large pump.
All right, and where does it pick up the fuel from to get into the pump there?
So that fuel tank's in the middle here.
Right.
And then the fuel pump runs off the front of the camshaft, so it's all no belt, nice and easy.
It's a simple setup, so it goes through all the fuel rails, returns through the reg, and then just returns back into the top of the tank.
Yep, done.
So moving past all the fuel tank setup, I see that you've got the Igm Coils that are kind of very similar to like how they're set up on an LS on the top here.
So we wanted to keep the car simple, easy to work on. We welded a bracket onto the rocker covers and mounted the coils. Nice short leads, keeps it away from everything, and it works really well.
And so you can just unplug and pull the rocker cover off, and it takes the whole ignition system with it, and you're done.
Yep, and then just put it all back on, plug it all back in, away you go again.
All right. Well, the next part that I suppose we really do want to know about is the turbo system. So tell us a bit about the headers and all your expansion pipes and what's going on.
Yep, so we made all them in-house. Chris, our fabricator, did all them. They're 2.25-inch primaries into a 3-inch secondary pipe down to the turbos.
I love this collector. They look nice on both sides.
Nice and simple. It's got a pair of Turbo Smart 60mm wastegates and a pair of Garrett turbos.
I don't know if we can move in a little bit, but just down the side here, this thing.
Yep, that's
what's going on? Yeah, tell me. I haven't really had much to do with these yet.
So that's a Turbo Smart oil pressure rig for the turbos. Keeps the pressure at 40 psi. With especially being a low mount, if they get too much pressure or something like that, they can spray oil out the pipes. So
this is sort of in lieu of like we used to battle with the restrictors and all that sort of stuff. Is that exactly what this is for?
Yep. So no restrictors anymore. We just put that on it and just bleeds back the excess pressure back to the sump.
All right. And being low-mounted turbos, is this going to help with like the oil return, or how are you going to sort of get the oil back into the engine?
So it's got a stage on the dry sump pump that pulls the oil out of the turbo, so the oil just drains into the tank, and then the pump pulls it back into the engine, or back into the oil tank.
Man, it's so convenient when you've got all of the right gear. Like that normally would be such a complex problem with an electric pump and all the crap to get it back.
I thought we were going to have to put an electric pump on it, but putting the header tank there fixed all the problems that we had with it. It did originally have a few oil issues, but so far it's been good since putting the tank on.
And is this there's got a pressure line here, so is this manifold pressure or CO2?
No, it's CO2.
Right, so what's it actually controlling? So CO2 comes in through to this sort of manifold, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, the CO2 comes in that line there, and then straight through that injector there, and then that goes down to the wastegates. And if it goes over pressure, that one just dumps the excess back out.
And the ECU is determining the hat pressure,
Correct.
not the manifold pressure.
Correct. We target dome pressure in the wastegates.
And so really roughly, so say for example, if you targeted say 20 pounds in the dome of the wastegate,
Yep.
what sort of boost pressure would you see?
On this motor, probably 22, 23 pounds.
Right, okay. And then when you start getting high, let's say you target 50 pounds of dome pressure, what would you see in the intake manifold?
40 to 42, somewhere around there.
For sure. So
as your back pressure goes up on your exhaust manifolds, you need to put more dome pressure on there to get the desired boost.
Okay, and that's something that you would sort of figure out as you're tuning the car.
Yep.
You'd figure that out.
Yep. We only run like 2 pound springs in the wastegate, so up to about 40 pounds is probably pretty close to 1-to-1. Once you get over 40, it'll...
Two pounds in 2 wastegates, giving you 2 pounds of manifold pressure.
Correct.
And why do you run such a low wastegate spring?
Just mainly for the burnout. You don't need boost, or you don't need a lot of power. These things will do a burnout aspirated, so it just makes it a lot more controllable in the burnout.
The magic of having a big block. All of us with 4 cylinders and 6 cylinders don't know what it's like to have no boost pressure but still have power.
Yeah, no, so just literally it'll do a burnout without no boost at all, like you're still in vacuum. So.
And what are you thinking, like, I know you haven't properly set this car up yet, but what sort of boost pressure are you thinking it's going to take off on?
Well, it'll probably leave the line somewhere around 9-10 pounds.
Right.
And then it'll ramp it in to whatever we need.
So that's a perfect reason why you wouldn't have, say, a 15-pound wastegate string, because you need less boost than that to take off.
Yep, so 2 pound spring and probably 8 on the hat will give us sort of 9-10 pounds to leave at, so that'll be pretty good.
You've got a couple of wastegate, or a couple of blow-off valves, I should say, up the top. Any magic in the blow-off valves?
Nah, not on this car. These are just the new Turbo Smart race ports. I'm just using them as a blow-off valve. I'm not bleeding off or doing anything on them.
For sure.
We do it all with the boost control.
Yeah, so
the Haltech's got the pretty advanced boost controller, so we don't have to worry about bleeding intercooler pipes or anything like that.
Well, Dale, there's not much in here, mate. It's all business. There's not much luxury.
No, there's definitely not, that's for sure.
Probably one thing we didn't go over, what type of car is this? What base was it?
It's a VT Commodore, so it was a 1999 V6 Commodore.
Has this been something that's been like at the business or in the family forever? Or?
Yeah, we bought it in 2007 as a smash wreck.
Yeah, right.
And then we put an LS in a turbo. It went 8.9, 161 with the standard IRS rear end, and then we tubbed it and did all this to it.
So all the cage, all of the bodywork, everything's all been done sort of as the car's evolved.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all been done.
Years.
Yeah, all been done in Sydney.
Yep. Everything's done here. Still a standard Commodore roof, and obviously the floor pan's not standard Commodore anymore.
No, a little bit flatter than it used to be.
Yeah, it's still got a standard Commodore chassis rail, so it is only a 3/4 chassis car.
Right.
So we can run it in Pro Radial or Grudge
That's
Kings
important
or
to know,
anything
so
like that.
3/4 chassis.
Yep.
All right, so that's important to know that it's a 3/4 chassis car.
Yep, so it makes it easy. We don't have to worry about it. You know, these events we can run them all because it is not a full chassis car.
Yeah, it's good to get to use it a lot at all of the events, for sure.
Yep.
And what sort of electronics package have we got in here? There's a bit of stuff everywhere. This is hidden away.
Yep, so it's got a race pack smart wire, and that's the race pack switch panel. It's got a race pack dash, Haltech Elite 2500 and a REM, dual wideband and a CAN hub.
Yeah, so
It's pretty simple.
all the normal stuff that you need.
Yep.
The bottle over here?
It's a CO2 bottle, does the shifter and the boost control.
Right, okay, so we've talked about how the boost control works using the CO2 for the hat pressure. What's on the shifter? So that CO2 is doing this?
Yep, so it's just got an air line there, which goes into like a Mac valve, like a boost control solenoid, and then it'll just push that out. So put it back in there, it'll just change into second gear.
Right. And how come, there's no wire on this here yet, but I assume there will be. What's the story with the pressure sensor off the back there?
With an air shifter, there's generally a time delay from when you actually, the ECU tells it to shift to actually when it shifts. So that pressure sensor allows me to log the time difference between when we tell it to shift and when it actually shifts. So could be up to 0.3 of a second difference.
Yeah, right. So this is just like how long it's taking to fill the cylinder and move the piston.
Yep. So I can log it as the pressure goes up when it does, and then generally when the pressure's gone up, it will have shifted.
Yeah, right. How many? What gearbox and how many speeds?
It's a turbo 400 and it's 2-speed. So they take first gear out and you'll basically leave in second gear.
But yeah, so it takes off on what would have been second.
Second gear, yep. So it's got a 148 first gear and a 1-to-1 top.
Yeah, I know it's early days, but with that many cubes and that much boost, really roughly, what are you hoping for the car to compete in, and what are you hoping for it to run?
So, like a quick pro radial car in Australia runs 425 in the 8. I think we can be competitive in that class. So we want to run sub 650 in the quarter mile. So.
Right, well, mate, all the equipment's there to do it. It seems, mate, it's a really, really nice, and it's really well prepared and well presented as well.
So we're taking like everything that we've done with the RX3. We know we've got a bigger tyre than that. We've got more cubes, probably got 1,000 horsepower more. So, yeah, we'll be on target to get done what we want to get done. So.
Mate, I can't wait to see this thing out on the track and just doing laps, because everything seems to be set up so that it's low maintenance.
Yep. Yeah, there's nothing really. The biggest maintenance is after each pass is I pull a valve cover off and check some clearances and then cool everything down.
Right, so I suppose cooling the automatic transmission is probably one of the things that's a big deal.
Yeah, and the engine, because we don't run any water in the engine, so cooling that down after each run and keeping the oil cold. So that's the hardest part.
Mate, well, all I can say is congratulations, awesome build.
Thank you.
Thanks again. I know that we've sort of pulled you away from a lot of your projects, so thanks very much for taking the time to show us through it.
Yeah, no props.
And mate, can't wait to see it at the racetrack very shortly.
Thank you.
All right, good on you. All right, guys, well, look, that's it for us. We're going to head out, have a look at a bit of the racing. Mate, hopefully we might catch up. We'll get a donut up the top here where they've got the world famous donuts. And mate, we'll see you next time. My name's Scott. This is Dale. Thanks for watching.